Now let's look at additives. Additives are different categories. You have nutritional additives, technological additives, and sensory additives. Nutritional additives are like vitamins, minerals, amino acids such as taurine, things that will allow the product to be adequate if you cannot meet the nutritional profile just with the ingredients. This is very common. So even in raw food, sometimes you need to add uh, any nutritional additives. They are not bad. They are simply to complete those nutrient profiles. Then you have the technological additives, those that are antioxidants and preservatives, which allow the product, especially the fat, prevents the fat oxidation and the spoilage. And then you have the sensory additives that will tell you know it makes the food more delicious, especially in cat food. This is very common, and these are the ones that are a bit tricky because they are rarely mentioned. So again, the more transparency you have in the product, the better. It's not bad to use them if it's going to prevent fat oxidation, for example, but it will allow you to make better decisions if you know if they are using loads of preservatives or not, or if you rather buy a raw food that you have to keep frozen, and you have to be more concerned because it doesn't have anything. It's more natural, but it depends. So what I would suggest in here is that you look at the details and see how transparent it is, and of course communicate to the brand and then ask questions. You always have to ask questions. I think this is very important to understand better, because there is a misconception of how to use it, and if, whether they're good or bad, and there are both ways. Everything is possible. And finally, let's talk about the complete and balanced. I love this part because we are pride ourselves about complete and balanced foods are the best and this and that. So this is a gold standard, but it doesn't mean it's perfect. Okay? So let's dig into it. So when we talk about that a complete food is that any canned food, kibble or raw food is complete, um, it meets the nutrient profiles. And when it's complementary, it means that it doesn't, and it's not made to be given just that. It can be a treat, it can be something special and particularly usually very tasty, but it is not made for actual food for every single day. The thing is that our regulatory systems are FEDIAF in Europe and AFCO in United States and NRC. These regulatory systems will tell you how good or bad they will set a standard. And usually nutrient values are calculated by a theoretical composition, formulations made in the computer, but not exactly will account for nutrient stability over time. So they're not going to be checking batch by batch. And this is very important. Then there is another thing, the feeding trials that we think might be the best option ever. It is important to understand what they entail. What they entail, yes. Under AFCO protocols, a feeding trial will include around 8 animals, of course not living in natural conditions, that are fed any sort of foods for a long period of time, around 6 months. And after that, they will measure basic parameters such as, remember, hemoglobin, packed cell volume, certain serum proteins, and also they are going to look at the overall health and the weight. But that doesn't tell you much about it. Say, okay, the animal is alive and survived. It is good. It passes the test. So under a control situation, feeding trials will demonstrate if the food is minimally good. It's like, okay, it is good for maintenance. Basically, these feeding trials are for maintenance products. And then it won't tell you about if this is optimate for all individuals. It won't tell you if the nutrient profiles are, at is specific for all in digestibility and metabolic excellence. It's not going to tell you if it's going to be optimum for that animal. Okay, so it is a baseline, non-nutritional exceptional. Okay, so just know that. So feeding trials demonstrate that the food sustains the animal in a controlled situation, but it doesn't say anything about the food in individual animals, in natural environments. It won't tell you if it's optimal, if it's if it has a good digestibility. It won't tell you anything about the full amino acids and fatty amino acids profile and the fatty acids balance. It won't tell you about the mineral status. So basically, what it says is that the food is good enough. It has a minimum acceptable level, but not that it's nutritionally exceptional. Okay? An additional factor that deserves some attention is the mineral balance, especially calcium and phosphorus. Because an imbalance of these two can affect bone health, kidneys, metabolic disorders, and more. And the problem is that the thing is that you measure it once, but if you don't have a routinely assessment of the calcium and phosphorus, it's not going to be all the time consistent. And this is what is happening. Actually having a good mineral basis measurement, it's expensive. So most companies don't do it properly. So don't fall if they put you the calcium and phosphorus into the label. Sometimes it's a copy and paste. Just so you know, it's not always going to be that precise all the time. They are going to make the measurements as best as they can, but it's kind of difficult to have it standardized for every single product, especially natural products, but in all products in general. Okay, so make sure to get good information about that with each brand, because transparency is all. So the most communicative the brand is, the better. With all this information that I gave you so far, I don't want you to drive yourself crazy and start mistrusting everything you read. It's simply don't let yourself be misguided by a marketing brand. Just look at the bag, just make good decisions, because there is one more thing that I wanted to mention, which is digestibility. Saying that it has an amount of proteins and it doesn't say anything about the quality, and guarantee analysis does not give you that information. The same happens with the fat. It can contain omega-3s, but if that is in a bag that once it's open, that fat is already it's already spoiled. So you're not going to get any good omega-3 in your systems whatsoever. So what I'm trying to say here is that brands are going to be pushing certain miracle ingredients, superfoods, natural, premium stuff, and simply look at the bag, understand what you're giving, and try to support your animal by other things, by trying to look at what you can offer individually, and not what it's supposedly to be the best. Foods are always going to have a good and a bad thing. If you ask me, of course, the quality is important. So if I want to offer good quality proteins, I would never think of ultra-processed foods. I would think as the minimal processed ones, such as raw or slightly cooked. That way, I will look into my cats and say, okay, this is more digestible than the other. This is good. This is bad. This is what I want. But in this category, I need to look what the label is telling me. And the good thing about raw food and cooked foods is that most brands are very open to disclose all the information. If you ask, if you send an email, and if you ask about it, or if you don't not very sure, you can always ask your nutritional vet and get an assessment of your cat, and think, okay, this is the best I can do. So what I want with this video again is not to make you crazy and say, oh my god, everything is, this is a conspiration. I just don't want you to think this way. I want you to make sure that if you see a brand, you look at the detail and you make an informed choice. Don't look for the perfect ones, simply look for the better ones and add variety to the diet. Okay? I hope you enjoyed so far, and I hope it was very helpful. If you just subscribe in this channel, and if you like it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.